Hello Internet, I'm Jackie Fox, and it wasn't long after I released my slime guide that I got my first question asking me to make a slime mission guide for those who are struggling with it, especially for new players, and the new player in particular posited the question or the constraints that, they had only been playing for a few months and they only had Lucio's TMR for AP regeneration, so I wasn't going to be getting bells. Later in this video, I am going to be showing you my more optimized build with bells. This guy really could use some AP regardless, especially for some of these earlier missions, especially if you want to scorch. It's often the first thing I do in most of these fights and most of these maps. And in my testing, Lucio's TMR is perfectly capable of this as long as you level up its ability all the way. You don't necessarily need bells, but bells is going to bring a lot of things to the table that your slime is really going to want in every one of these situations, including additional agility. Now, if you can do a quick trust rune set and you can get some agility runes on your Lucio TMR, maybe like HP. I don't really know whatever you have for the. But basically, get that additional speed on your Lucio's TMR, if nothing else. But as you can see, my slime is level 120. I can't undo that. I can't go back to level 89 for you or anything. And this mission 10, we're gonna start. You're gonna be capped at level 89 coming into this. And the real trick in this mission, and for a lot of these first missions that I'm going to talk about, we're going to be. Part of this is going to be RNG dependent. Part of it is going to be very AI technical, kind of you had to been there, you have to go through this once, you have to see it go wrong once. And I'm sorry that's going to make this video longer, but for a lot of these first maps, for 10 through I think 12, we're going to have to play through to some extent one time to see the mistake, so that you can avoid making that mistake, so you know what that mistake looks like, and then we're going to play through and do it right. And I think in a couple of these runs, I don't technically achieve all of the missions. And one thing you can do if you're finding a particular mission, like you can beat the level, but you can't do one of the extra missions, right? You can always kind of grind past that and come back at a higher level. It's the same thing you can do with Lucio. It's my biggest piece of advice with either of them. If you're really getting locked out by something, if it's like do a certain amount of damage, just clear that mission, move on, go on to the next thing, and come back when you're a higher level, and it's going to be a lot easier. It's a really quick way to cheat through those. And we've got like 2 or 3 more weeks with slime, so you only have so much time to do this. Now I'm going to show you some recommended equipment, and the brass knuckles if you're playing during Final Fantasy 15 or Persona 5. Jesus Lord. The brass knuckles are probably the best thing because this is really the only hybrid piece of gear. It also has strike and magic up, and that's all of his kit. I think level 10 we're going to want magic, and I'm going to realize that midway through. But just looking around, those are kind of the equipment that you want. Sasuke's katana, which is going to give him initial AP 10, which can be helpful, especially if you're running Lucio's TMR. Even though I didn't have much trouble with it, but again, I have a higher AP pool because I'm a higher level slime. I can't really do anything about that. So basically, I'm just going to run this for now with just that TMR and just the vision card that I suggest for him, especially for this mission to give you an AoE move, Clairvoyant Astrologer. Because Armor Piercer, you're going to see me use it throughout this video, and it's really helpful. You can absolutely do these things without it. In fact, I realized that this was meant to be done with Scorch as I was recording it, which is why I come back with a magic build. And why I build actually a +5 whale whisker just for this boy. You wouldn't expect it, but like at least for that one map, this week's new item actually works really well for slime because again, he can equip anything and he can do all of the extra job stuff too. So this 30% magic up, this accuracy up that only a couple classes can get, well, slime is one of those classes. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I think he's listed on all of them if he is. I don't know. I should probably check that to be sure, but I think that he gets all of those bonuses too. Hold the phone for 1 second. Okay, I'm actually not sure about my advisal on the the Peacemaker and the Wave Blade now, I'm not entirely sure that he actually gets it, because looking at comparison between Brass Knuckles and Whale Whisker, he's not actually getting that plus 30 magic. However, I definitely did run this with the Whale Whisker and it worked, so maybe that's his 120-ness, but I was trying to factor against that. Anyways, let me get back into the video. Okay, so positioning for your very first turn is really important, because one of the most annoying things that can happen early on is your She Slime runs to the right, which means that you will probably end up being doomed at some point by this here Float-Eye. Now, I think you get to see it in this fight because she runs to the right, as you can see. And the initial doom doesn't go off, but I think he gets it a second time. So, what you're going to want to do to deal more than 3,000 damage is to either boost up your damage and use a physical attack like Armor Piercer here, or what they expect if you can get units to line up, especially if you can get Killing Machine in this shot. Scorch, if you can hit both the Killing Machine and the Mind Flayer behind it, collectively you should do at least 4,000 or 5,000 damage, even at like level 89. Again, hard to test against, but I'm not even equipping a weapon. Let's see what I can hit next turn. So again, without a weapon, I'm hitting it's what, like 3,800 without a crit. Because look, especially at level 89, there's nothing you're going to do to this slime that is going to get him to hit a single unit for more than 4,000. It's just not going to happen. So you have to line up more than one unit at a time, and really there isn't a good opportunity to get 3 in one hit on this map. This is really where you're going to want to do this mission. Okay, so instead of her running all the way to the right, I'm going to run all the way to the right and trigger my AP restore, and this, for whatever reason, she figures I've got the right side covered, so she's going to run down the center towards them. Great. Now she's effectively out of danger, at least for the early fight. So here, if you don't have anything you can really do very well, just use your emergency mediation. You may not have an opportunity to use it later. Might as well get it off. It'll come in handy someday. So you're hoping that these two line up, and then you're going to want to go in with Scorch, or maybe an AoE that you're getting from something else. This is with Whale Whisker, and at 120, it's probably kind of an unfair level of damage, but even if you did that at level 89 with a similar setup and geared towards magic, you could probably hit 4,000 between the two of them in that hit. So from here, you're roughly going to want to stay away from the Earth Titan and try to support your allies in any way you can. It's kind of hard to get to your Killing Machine right now, and usually in a lot of runs I killed the Float-Eye at this point too, so he's going to be an extra complication. But Killing Machine actually usually doesn't like tank out in the corner quite this well, but he's a badass for this fight. So I'm just going to let it play out and just kind of watch the way I play the field, and remember that I'm also a support and a healer, and that I have basically all the roles. I'm the slime. I can do everything. How can I help in a different way in different moments? And we're clear. And as you can see, as long as you kind of force the AI to make a certain decision early on with the she slime, she roughly stays out of danger and stays away from the things that can really hurt her and just kind of helps you out. And as long as you can kind of do some crowd control for your killing machine so that he doesn't get overwhelmed, you're going to do okay. You just need to worry about those two. Now, this is personally my least favorite of any of them. Mission 11, the get a chain of three or more. Now, there are no moves that can, there are no VCs. There's nothing you can equip your slime to give him a 4-hit move that will be able to get him this chain all by himself. Also, none of your allies have chaining moves. Also, none of your allies can elementally chain with you to begin with because they're all ice and you are lightning. So, what you're going to have to do is accelerate your ice allies, hope that they can get 3 turns in consecutive, and that they have AP to use skills, so that they can elementally attack on the golem later on. So early on, you want to kind of ride this ledge, and you want to engage with the ice gunner, because the ice gunner is the one that she slime is going to have the most trouble with. She can roughly deal with this wind guy. If you could AoE both of them, that's actually a really Chad way to start this match. Kind of help out your she slime while you're taking this guy down, but you can also focus just on him. It's arguably better, though, to use the AoE, and I did forget that, and that's maybe part of why this run didn't work out as well, but let's let it play out. One of the issues that you might have is keeping Golem alive. It can actually help to not. Your killing machine, as long as it doesn't take too many hits from this Firebird, should be fine. If you can allow that bird to distract it for a minute, you might be able to keep the Golem alive long enough for the chain to actually happen. So what you're going to want to do is try to accelerate both of your allies if you're coming back to this mission later, and I fully understand if you are, because this is the one that's most frustrating for me too. With your level 115 slime, you have this big pattern accelerate, and you could definitely use that to accelerate them both on the same turn. I just was a little impatient, because you want them to get as many turns within one of Golem's turns as you can. They need to be able to build up a chain of 3 themselves, because all you can do, unless there's a multi-hit ice Esper summon, that is, hold on, a thing that would help this out a lot, and that I definitely need to Google. I'm sorry, Google? Why am I giving them credit? It's Bismarck and Woad of Calc. I need to check this on Woad of Calc. I'm definitely not Googling it. No, there definitely isn't, so let's continue. Basically, the best that they can possibly do is get 3 elemental hits on him in one of his turns. If you can somehow lower his agility, not quite sure how to recommend to do that, except maybe trying to get lucky with Thornlet, but even then that's bad, because you have to attack Golem to get that effect, and you're going to end up with him getting his ass kicked before you can get your whole combo off. But also, kind of the later you do it, your allies can run out of AP as well, and that is going to impact their ability to use not their normal attack, which doesn't have an element and isn't going to elementally chain, even though they are both ice units. So I guess my biggest piece of advice is that may be impossible unless you equip an Ice Esper. I guess you could throw Slime in your barracks if you're trying to raise his faith, but his all of his heals are actually HP conditional, so they aren't really affected by his faith. Healing power up or down, yes, but not faith. So you can actually run Slime really effectively as a low faith healer, which is incredibly rare. I'm not sure there's really other good examples of it. So for this mission, I'm going to increase my equipment a little bit. The hard part is this bee attack no more than 15 times. This might be another good one to come back to later with a level 115 slime and power through, because the quicker you can take things down, the less you get attacked. Obviously, the best offense is, or the best defense is a good offense or whatever. But actually, the game also suggests using evasion, and that was helpful for me. And technically, it doesn't count as getting attacked if they miss you, I guess. I think it's how that works. Anyways, I'll have to count the number of times that we get attacked in my second run. I know I'm not going to pull it off in this one because I do a couple things wrong. Yeah, I'll show you how the equipment can help you turn a bad run into a good one, at least. Also, there is a lot, again, to be said for where to properly position yourself, and even like within the dimension of time and turn order to a ridiculous degree within this. It's easier to just let you see it go wrong and then let you see it go right. Overall, thanks to their advice, I am building overall for evasion. So I'm going for speed with my VC. I'm going for luck and all that stuff. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that the Crow Cloak may not be activating fully for slime, unfortunately, but he can equip the power sash, which is interesting. Yeah, he's also kind of limited in armor. I thought he could equip literally everything when I first started playing with him. It's just weapons, and even then, it's not kind of all of them. But I mean, it is all of them. He can equip them, but he can't like fully equip them, if you know what I mean. He doesn't get all of the passives. Yeah. Okay, so I got a bad placement on that run. And I'm also, at this point, I think going to switch over to Bells for the additional agility, just to get him better in the turn order. You know, a faster offense is a better offense. A better offense is better defense in terms of getting attacked. Also, let's give him an Esper he has affinity with. Big power up. Also, good evasion Esper. And good Esper for slime, because kind of a generalist in terms of attack and magic that it's giving. Okay, so biggest threat to my team, and it's hard for me to really stop it. I don't know how I would stop this, but their Pizarro is going to kill my killing machine. I'm just trying to get there and get myself in the middle of it as best I can. If you can get yourself positioned here, go ahead, run that emergency mediation. He will still be able to hit him through you, though, which is why I say it's hard to defend him from here, but you might be able to take him out early. Maybe. At this point, you get your own Pizarro, who needs to be defended against two wolves that he is a weak element to. If you can keep him alive, he will make the end of the fight much, much easier against the Fenrir. And as you can see, all of these fights have a structure to where if you keep the other units alive, if you really think about how to support them at all times, the run goes a lot smoother. It just goes smoother. As if it was meant to be that way. Okay, so that's how you do that. See, keep your buddies alive. It's great game design to make a level work out better for keeping your buddies alive. Yeah, yeah. Duty calls. Damn, I really do need to actually clear my throat, probably. Anyways, this is more of my preferred equipment, my preferred espers for him. Let's go into this last fight, pumping. Actually, I should probably point out that the passive Restless Heart is pretty much useless throughout this because there isn't a single enemy in any of these maps. Maybe except for Zoma that could push him across a threshold fast enough to trigger the courage off of that. It's just not going to happen, especially if you're playing right. So, actually, let me. Okay, so instead of the jank that I'm running in this, I would definitely recommend Slime Power into Slime Power +1 and Hustle Mastery. Pretty much at all times. He's kind of limited in terms of passives. In PvP, Restless Heart may make a lot more sense. Frizz Crack Resistance may make more sense on some particular maps. But generally speaking, those two are going to be the best for him and make the best support he can be. Okay, so Slime's last mission is going to be really similar to, I think, the last Warrior of the Crystals mission for Lucio. I think to get his sword or some nonsense, or fully level it or whatever. I'm actually just going to stay right here because they have an Earth unit, and I'm going to let them build a wall in front of me, and I'll stick up for me because I can't deal with this guy, and they can. So from back here, I want to remember that I am a support, and I really love this mission design though, like keeping all of your allies alive to be able to deal with everything. And also, try not to get hit by the Nightblade. If you want to get healed, your allies will probably be more or less fine, but it can be kind of relevant to take this guy out relatively early. But I think my allies can handle it, so I'm just going to buff everybody's agility. It's always better to be faster on these maps, generally. And in the game, generally. So if you ever have kind of that off turn, especially if you have that leveled up accelerate, use it. It's great. Even got the finisher on the earth with the lightning move too. Even okay, so Killing Machine isn't necessarily in danger from the Brontosaurus, but he is gonna have a lot of trouble taking out by himself. He's gonna get some help. Move on. Yeah, teamwork. You definitely want to help, but you also want to keep moving forward. I wouldn't move necessarily past the tower because of what is about to trigger, and this is why I told you the thing about reflect. Easy way to screw up a run is to forget that the only native skill I think that Slime has, other than his basic attack that is non-reflectable, is Body Slam. But also, Armor Piercer is non-reflectable, and that's what I am going to use against this Leviathan and Carbuncle combo when I can get in range. Otherwise, I don't need to do anything. I'll keep the CT and get my next turn sooner. Just let my allies deal with the healer. None of them, by the way, have any, I think, reflectable moves, so the reflect's completely irrelevant to them, but as you can see from the recommended abilities here, the game will actively screw with you. Doesn't look like I can get an Armor Piercer in this turn, so I'm just going to wait again. Keep my CT. Now they should be in formation. Yes. Better view. Yes. So close. Come on, somebody finish this Carbuncle. Aw, you guys. Okay, so once you finish these guys off, probably the last thing that's going to trip you up is She Slime getting taken out by Zoma. So, unlike what I just did, you should probably run to your She Slime and Hustle Dance that biatch. Hustle Dance with your She Slime. That's one of my biggest pieces of advice at this point in the battle. Get your Hustle Dance on. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to Hustle Dance. No. My lady's important. Yeah. I'm also going to stand in front of the crystal so that she heals herself with it by running up to me. Kind of knew with her range that's what she had to do. Arguably, I could have healed everybody else that turn instead and let her use the crystal to heal herself. But I wasn't sure her AI would do that. Keep your She Slime alive. And then, above all else, keep your party alive. Everybody. Just to be safe. Just in case your whatever kit isn't as good as mine in this. Just keep everybody safe, and they'll take care of you. And that's it. That's the last mission. If you have cleared all of these missions, then your slime can at least get to level 115, and you can start going back to any of the things that tripped you up and just go back with more power or better equipment or, whatever you want to do. A lot of the equipment that I recommend for slime, if you need more AP, if you're having AP issues, Satsuke's Katana, it's going to be physical only basically, but it is very powerful, and it does give you 10, which isn't a lot, but 10 more extra AP at start, which is going to help. That can be farmed fairly easily. I want to say that the fight for that is relatively old, so even newer players shouldn't have as much trouble clearing that, because that's earlier content for the game. As long as you can beat it through the brutal and background farm it or something for your slime boy and for your ninjas, of course. Just imagining a slime flying through the air with a katana with a little short ninja blade in his mouth, like an assassin. Oh man. I guess I'll leave you with that thought.